They thought you were weak. They really did. And right now, right at this moment, someone is sitting somewhere very ordinary. A car in a parking lot, a kitchen at night, the blue light of phone on their face. And they are realizing they were wrong about you. Not a little wrong, completely wrong. You have probably noticed already. You have probably noticed the messengers that come slower now. The way certain people got quiet when you stopped explaining yourself. The way a conversation shifts a half second when you walk in, like everyone just remembered something at the same time. That's not an accident. That is real. That is real. So, let me be really specific because I don't want you to think I am talking in vague, pretty language here. For a long time, people looked at you and they saw someone who did not fight back. You did not raise your voice. You did not defend yourself when they told the story wrong. You let them have the last word, and they walked away thinking they had won something. They confused your restraint with weakness. They mistook your silence for surrender. They thought you were soft because you were kind. And here's what nobody tells you. Kindness has never been the same thing as softness. Not once. Not ever. You were never losing. You were just playing a long game that they could see. You know that feeling. The one where someone says something cruel and dressed it up as a joke. And everybody laughs, and you laugh too. And then there is a moment right after the laugh when your face settles into something heavier. And you look at your own hands for a second. You have had the moment, that moment, more than once. Maybe last week, maybe 6 months ago, in a room you can still smell if you close your eyes. You're not making this up. Here is what most people don't understand about people who get underestimated. They think you did not notice. They think you missed it. But you did not miss anything. You caught every single one. Every sideways comment, every credit that got taken, every time someone spoke over you and then repeated your idea back to the room 5 minutes later, like they had invested it. You saw it at all. You just chose not to burn your life down over it. That was not weakness. That was strategy. You did not even know you were running. And then something shifted. Think of a specific moment. Maybe it's a Tuesday evening, nothing special about it. You're standing somewhere unremarkable. A hallway, a doorway, the edge of your own kitchen, and someone says the thing designed to get a reaction out of you, the thing that used to work every single time, and you just did not move. No flinch, no explanation, no scrambling to be understood. You looked at them and you felt something go very, very quiet inside you, and you said nothing. And in that silence, I know how that sounds, but stay with me in that silence. They lost. Not because you defeated them, because you stopped playing. That was the moment the game ended. You did not announce it. You did not post about it. You did not sit anyone down for a conversation about how you have grown. You just stopped showing up as a person they had built their whole strategy around, and the entire board collapsed because, and this is the part that's going to make sense of the last few months, their power was never theirs. It was borrowed. It was on loan from your reaction, and you called the loan in. They are still sitting at the table. They do not know the game is over. They don't know that the game is over. Let me be really specific about what is happening on their side right now, because I think you deserve to know. They were checking. Not obviously, they're not going to admit it, but they check. They see your name somewhere, and their stomach does something they had never described out loud. They replay conversations from months ago and hear them differently now. They hear how calm you were, and it bothers them. It bothers them in a way they can't articulate to anybody, because how do you complain that someone was too composed? They are comparing quietly, constantly, something you did without effort. They have been trying to manufacture for years. And here is what is really going on underneath all of it. It is not that they hate you, not because they don't care, because they care too much, because they have become mirror they can't put down. When you stopped reacting, they did not just lose leverage of you. They lost the story they were telling themselves about who they were. You were supposed to be the small one, so they could be the big one. And now, the small one is not small. And the math does not work anymore, and they are up at night doing the math over and over. They are not reacting to who you are. They are reacting to what you are reflecting back. And think about a room you were in recently. A meeting, a dinner, a group of people standing around after something ended. You said maybe 4 sentences and whole time. 4. And on the drive home, you did that thing you always do, where you replay it and decide you should have said more. You should have been warmer. You should have been louder. You should have been idiot like. Here is what nobody tells you. You were the loudest thing in that room. They felt you there. Someone went home and thought about you, and they are not going to admit that to anyone ever. That is real. That is real. And I want to say you this next part very carefully. You have not become someone different. You did not transform. You did not level up. You just stopped hiding. And the thing that was always there worked out into the light. And it turns out it was never the threatened thing everybody assumed it was. You stopped rehearsing the conversation in the shower. You stopped drafting the text 7 times. You stopped auditioning for people who had already decided who you were. You started trusting the thing in your chest that goes still and cold and certain when someone is lying to you, and you started finally letting your no be a full sentence. That is real. That is real. So let them talk. Let them talk and let them wonder and let them tell the version of the story where they come out looking better. You don't have to correct it. You don't have to send the message that sets the record straight. Let them keep the last word. The last word was never the prize. That is what they never figure out. And it's why they're still sitting at a table with no opponent, moving pieces around a board that nobody's playing on. You don't have to explain the change. That is not your responsibility. Let them be uncomfortable. Discomfort is not an emergency, and it is not yours to fix. You spend so much of your life managing other people's feeling about you that you started to think it was a job. It was never a job. Nobody hired you. You just showed up and started working for free. Let them find their own footing. You don't have to shrink so they can feel tall. And listen, you're not being cold. You're being clear. You're not being distant. You are being honest for the first time in years about how much of yourself you were spending on people who never going to give you a receipt. The thing they called your weakness, the patience, the softness, the way you feel everything all the way down, that was never the flow. That was the engine. That is the thing that let you sit still and watch and understand people so completely that when you finally moved, you only had to move once. You feel too much. That is the gift. That is the whole gift. So here is what is coming. New people are arriving. I want you to watch for them. People who don't need you to be small to feel comfortable. People who look at your calm and feel safe instead of threatened. They are already on their way. Some of them are closer than you think. And you are going to meet one of them in a very ordinary week and not realize until later that the whole shape of your life bends slightly around the meeting. Rooms are going to open. Opportunity that used to require you to perform are going to arrive and ask for nothing but your presence. And you are going to notice somewhere around the third or fourth one that you are not nervous anymore. Not because you got braver, because you stopped needing their permission. The people who wrote you off are going to be watching from a distance. Some of them will reach out. Some of them will act like nothing happened. And you get to decide. You, not them. You, what you do with that. This is your moment to stop apologizing for taking up the room you already paid for. You have already chosen this. That is what I keep wanting you to hear. This is not a decision waiting to be made. You made it, quietly, on some unremarkable evening, and everything since then has just been the world catching up to a choice you already made in the dark, alone, with nobody watching and nobody clapping. They thought you were weak. They were looking at the wrong thing the entire time. They were watching your hands when they should have been watching your eyes. And by the time they looked up, you were already gone. Already standing somewhere they can't follow. In a life they don't have the coordinates for. Being a person they no longer get a vote on. You did not win the game. You ended it. And you did it without ever once raising your voice. Without a single word wasted on people who were never listening anyway. So, go be exactly as you are. Take up the space. Let it be easy. Let the ones who understand find you, and let the rest of them keep replaying conversations they will never fully solve. Because you are not a puzzle to be figured out. You are a person, finally, fully, unapologetically home in yourself. And that is the most powerful thing a person can be. I see it. I have seen it this whole time, the whole quiet, patient, unbreakable time, and I have never once mistaken it for anything less than what it is. Love you. Be safe.